for future whatever technology, whatever. So they built the Jan Ryan Highway in the 50s, and then again they dismantled in the 60s when I was very young to build the University of Illinois. Actually, I'm sitting in my car. I'm actually in Little Italy, but you wouldn't know it because you're seeing the University of Illinois.
You know, I've only, you know, I played in Chicago. I played with, with Anita Baker. She's from the Detroit, Chicago area. But
yeah,
I thought you had come from Cicero. Is Cicero inside of Little Italy or no?
No, Cicero is a border town just west of of Chicago. Borders on the west side by Oak Park. So basically, you could say I'm from every corner of Chicago. It's sad to say, you know. But wherever, like, no matter where I drive, south, west, east, north, suburban, you know, there's a story. And I have, when I'm driving around and working, and I'm out all over the place, I smile to myself because I'll look at a corner and I'll remember something, or a drug bust, or, you know, this or that, you know. And I'm always like, oh my God, like my footprints are like everywhere. There's probably not one McDonald's bathroom that I haven't shot heroin in or dyed my hair. There's probably not one gas station that I haven't turned a trick in or shot dope, or, I mean, like, I was so out there. I can't even believe, through the grace of God, I'm alive and healthy.
Well, you know, I like to make some notes sometimes, but do you consider yourself a middle-class girl, an upper-middle-class girl? Would you consider yourself that?
Like, before, when I was growing up?
When you were growing up with your dad and your grandma?
I would have considered, in my mind, like I was like a princess, but really my family was like connected, right? So we really lived in an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment with me, my sister, my grandma. My dad came and went, whatever. I was raised by my father's mother, my grandma. So my friends, when we moved to Oak Park, they all had these big, beautiful houses, right?
Yeah.
And I used to like get mad. My family's Sicilian, right? And when I was little, then all of a sudden we moved to Oak Park, and all my little Irish friends, and they had a mom and a dad, and then I started like interacting where it wasn't like Little Italy, you know, like the Hispanic and Sicilians are very close in their culture, and so you would relate, right? So, like, you know, everybody watches everybody's kid and come out and eat, get a plate, whatever. So when I was in Oak Park when I was little, you know, like,
mangiare.
yeah, no, but when I would, like, my little friends would say, "Oh, come eat dinner at our house," and I would be shocked, because they all sat at the table, and the mom and the dad. It was kind of like an episode out of Father Knows Leave It to Beaver, right? And so, you know, then all of a sudden, I remember the first time the mother said, it was like passing the potatoes and then whatever they were having in vegetable. And we always just ate Italian food, you know, and there was no sit down. It was like, "I'm hungry, Grandma. Oh, here's some meatballs and gravy and spaghetti, you know, or whatever." And so then I'm at my friend's house, and after we were done eating, the mother said, the 2 little girls were my school girlfriends, you know, we were young. We were like in third grade. And the mother goes, "Okay, girls, clear the table and do the dishes." And I was horrified because I'd never even did a dish, you know. So I was extremely spoiled. And in my mind, the money was endless, right? Like I thought, you know, but in reality, everything fell off a truck, and, you know, it was like, you know, that type of a situation. But my father did work really hard, and my family owns a famous hot dog stand it started in Chicago, now it's in River Grove, and it's called Gene and Jude's. My family still owns it. My cousin now is the sole proprietor. But yeah, I remember back in the day, it was all like, I was like the big hit in high school, you know, that my family owned Gene and Jude's. We all pile up in the car. I'd go there and, "Daddy, give me 30 hot dogs and a couple $100, you know. So it was crazy.
I just want to let everybody know this is Angalia Bianca that I'm interviewing today. This is her book called In Deep. This is a must read for anybody with children, or just for women in general, because Angalia has an incredible story. We're going to talk a lot about this book and about her life today, because, you know, I try to shy away from some of the music people, if you understand what I mean, because it's not that I don't, it's not that they're not interesting. It's just that it's got to be somebody special if I talk to them about music, like Gene Cornish or my Uncle Gene, as I affectionately call him, because I was an orphan, and I met Gene at a very, very early age, and he like mentored me, him and Jan Hammer, and I became the musician that I am because of these people. So I just wanted everybody to know that this book was Book of the Year award. Yes, I mean this was a great.
2019 Book of the Year.
I made my son read this. I made a lot of people read this, and mostly a lot of the women that are on my page and all that. I always tell everybody, you need to read this book, because if you have children, I think what's great about this book is that if you're a parent, certain signs and certain things that you give in this.
Yeah, there's some red flags. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Would you talk a little bit to me about that, about youth and the introduction of drugs? Like, for instance, one of my sponsors is a big cannabis company. But do you think that cannabis is a gateway to everything else?
I don't agree with that. No, I started
right
on morphine.
I
was never a big weed smoker. I smoked it, but I was like, man, I went right to morphine. I was taking morphine pills, not even knowing they were morphine, when I was 9 years old. I was a really, like, the child that I was. I can't blame anybody. So, and in the book, I don't play the victim. It's not one of those books, and it's like, oh, poor me, or blah blah. No, I knew. No, I don't blame anybody. I can't even. I feel so bad. I pray and say, Grandma, I am so sorry. But like, nobody would have been. I was gave them a run for their money. But when I was very young, I was very mischievous and fearless, and I wanted to know everything, and I got really into like, I always loved music. When I was like, music has been like my life, right? And so when I was really growing up, my father loved music as well, right? And so I was at a very young age introduced to, like, of course, obviously, Frank Sinatra. I love Frank Sinatra, right?
Al Martino.
Yeah, the Rat Pack. But also, my father was a big blues and jazz lover, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Etta James, Ella Fitzgerald, Sam Cooke, Ray Charles. So my father played music on the stereo loud, and I loved it. You know what I mean? And then, of course, as I got a little older, I got introduced to rock and roll in the 60s, and that was my first love. And then, of course, I went on to, so people often will say to me now, like, if they see my playlist, you're liable to see Beethoven, Led Zeppelin, Bowie, then all of a sudden a rap artist, then old hip hop, and people are like, hey, pick you got to pick one. I'm like, no, if it's got a beat, and I absolutely, I don't even, I get kind of mad if I'm driving and I get calls. I don't want to take them because I blast my music, right? And I love it when I'm at a red light, because I have the windows on and I'm always dancing in my car. I don't care who's looking. I have looked to the side and seen kids on school buses filming me. So I'm on somebody's Instagram, like, look at this crazy old woman, dancing, whatever.
You look you look fabulous. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
You look fantastic.
I can't imagine the damage I did to myself, but this is good, clean living with a great purpose, But anyway, let me just tell you, I stop at a red light, and my music, it might be Little Walter, it could be, like, blues or whatever it is, right? Motown, or rock and roll, whatever. And there's always somebody on the corner that starts dancing, regardless, right? And then they're like, yeah, go ahead, and I start dancing. And so I feel like music is the international language, right?
Absolutely.
And it makes me happy when I see a young person dancing, like, hearing that song. I forget who does it, The Jerk. Who does that?
I can't remember now. Not Jackie Wilson. I can't remember.
But anyway, the song. It's real old school, and like, put your red high heels on and whatever. So, and
Jackie Wilson.
Yeah, and I'm always dancing, and people are dancing, and they're young, and they'll say, "Hey, I remember that old people music. My grandmama used to listen to play it," and I'm like, "That's right, baby," But anyway, here's the thing: when I was young, and I often, when I speak places, I get asked the question about what could have helped me, right? What
Yeah.
could help me? And now let's remember, this was a time, a whole other place, you know what I mean? In the early 60s, the 60s, there's no, that's long gone, right? The 60s, right? Now, when I was young, I remember I was very competitive. I was always a smart kid in school. I competed in roller skating, volleyball, the swim team. I was an artist. I painted. So I had a lot of those attributes, right? And we always had a baby grand piano in our house because my uncle played, and beautifully. And I love classical music, so I love, oh my God, the Moonlight Sonata from Beethoven. I could sit in my car.
That's my favorite classical piece.
It's my favorite, right? When I was really young, I started like, I have a really good ear for music, and I'll listen to a song, and then I'll play, and then I go a little more. Like I taught myself how to play Stairway to Heaven on the piano when I was like in grade school, right? So now, being that my family were immigrants from Sicily, right? And really, they were all really smart. I mean, like my uncle went on to be a designer and like a really great businessman, my dad's brother. And my Aunt Louise, she just never even driven a car. You know, she's like 78 or 9 right now. And she is so smart. She could go be an English teacher. She's all my life has been correcting me. Like when she would I'd write her letters in prison. And then when she'd write back, the first page of the letter would be correcting my grammar on the letter I just wrote her, right? So anyway, they weren't educated as far as going to school. None of them graduated high school. So this is a different time. So they would not have, and then back then, let's remember, we're barely starting to talk about mental health now in 2020. Yeah. Okay, so in the early 60s, that was like, and especially from a family, an immigrant family, right? I mean, my family, when they came here through Ellis Island and all that. So anyway, the bottom line is, like somebody should have said, hey, Angela is like really, really hyper, and maybe she's got, they didn't invent ADD yet,
No,
but
it just hit you.
Not to say that.
In Catholic school, they just hit you. Sit down, shut up.
Catholic school, I know, and the nuns, oh my God.
The nuns will book at you.
Yeah, wow, oh my God. Anyway, so, but the thing is that had they have been, it was more just like, I mean, they loved me. Nobody hit me. Nobody was getting high in front of me until I got older and found out my dad did coke. Then I seen him snort coke. But growing up, anything I wanted, I was the most spoiled because I was the first baby born in the family after them going through the Depression and World War II and all this stuff. And I was a girl, and I was really cute. And by the time I was like 5, and then my mom left, and then I ended up with my grandmother. And I'm not kidding you. I mean, I had that kind of wiring, right? Where I would notice all these old Italian women going, Maria, and they would say it in Italian, oh, those poor little girls, like, oh, Maria. And so I caught on to that. Oh, I can milk this, I mean, I was like a hustler at 5 years old, and so I was like, I'd get the little lost little girl look, like, oh, and they'd be like, oh, honey, here's $20. There was a lot of money back then. And they would do it for my sister too. My sister is a totally opposite end of the spectrum from me, and a real good little girl, quiet. You give her some Barbie dolls.
That's in your book.
Yeah. I love it to death, and I get her to get a little wild when I take her to rock concerts now. But anyway, but the thing is that she would, if somebody gave her 20, she saved it and saving. By the time she was like 17, she had, like, I don't know, like she bought a brand new car, with her own money. And I was never like that. If you gave me 20, I went out, even if I wasn't allowed to go, I went to the record store and bought an album or 4 albums, you know what I mean, with that 20. Right?
I was reading that. That's really
and I gotta tell you, I'm really honored that that you're having me on your show, because no, I really am, Chico, because like you have been on, played, you know, with like all over the world, with on some of the biggest stages and the biggest arenas. And you're a badass guitar player. I mean, I history. I don't know if you remember, but like about a year, maybe 2 years ago, I usually go to the Grammys every year, and I think I text you and I said, hey, when I'm in LA, let's go have coffee. Now at that time, you probably thought you got a lot of fans. Who is this fucking crazy bitch, you know? And she wants to meet. You were like, well, okay, you know. So I was thinking like, okay, well, he doesn't know me, so I didn't bother you, right? But I thought, you know, we have a lot of the same friends, you know. So I thought, well, I just really just, I'm not a fan thing. I just feel I looked to you like,
well, I always,
guy, you know.
you know, just reading the book, and I know who you are because we have a lot of mutual friends. But I feel like I've known you my whole life, and
I know, right?
I'm stuck here in crazy land, la la land. And when I speak to somebody, when I hear your accent, my car and everything, you know, with Chicago or New York or Philadelphia, like the other girls that, you know, I call them my power girls that are on my page every day, because they're all from the East Coast. Because I can't deal with the lunatics that are out here. They're all crazy.
Oh, I know, they're crazy.
They're all crazy. They're all crazy. You know.
No, I don't know if there'll even be a Grammys in January. I'm sad.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's not. I've been so many times. It's actually nauseating because you got to sit there for 10 hours. You know.
So how long did you actually take with Becky? You wrote this with Becky, right? Becky helped you.
Linda Beckstrom. So Linda Beckstrom is the co-op. No, that's okay. So Linda Beckstrom is like really this wonderful, brilliant writer, and her and I were like joined at the hips for 14 months, and she worked really hard. And I would talk like the book is the story that is the gripping part, but without good writing, it would not have flowed the way it did, and it wouldn't be the page turner, right? So when Linda and oddly, the way Linda and I met is so crazy. So I was in California, and I ran into Pamela DeBar, and she told me, come on my house tomorrow, whatever. So I did. And I went to see Pamela, and she was like, she told me, hey, you know, I do this way before I always said,
she does
workshops, yeah. So I've always said, even when I was 20, high, nodding on dope, stealing, when people would say, man, bitch, you better get your life together. What are you going to do when you get older? And I'd be like, don't worry, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to get published, and it's going to be a movie. And, you know, I was like delusional, right? Well, so anyway, so I'm with Pamela, and she tells me, next time I come to Chicago, I'm going to call you, come to my writing class. I go, yeah, absolutely, right? It'll be fun. So I go, now Linda Beckstrom hosts Miss Pamela's.
Oh, that's right. Now I know who she is. That's right. Oh, now I know.
Chicago, yeah. So it happens at Linda Beckstrom's house. So the first time I went, Miss Pamela, you know, said, okay, I'm coming, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, I'll be there. So I get there. And I knock on the door. Linda opens the door. Miss Pamela's right there. I give Pamela a big hug, right? And then I don't know. I was drawn to Linda, so I thought. Now she's trying to get together because there's about to be 20 crazy rock and roll wild girls in her house any minute, right? So she's trying to, right. You should join, but no guys are allowed. But you gotta see if you can make an exception. Maybe Pamela can make an exception for you. But anyway, so she goes right into the kitchen to get the cheese plate and the wine. And even though I don't drink, they're all, they got their wines and all this stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And so anyway, as soon as I walk in, I follow Linda right behind her. I don't know what the hell. And I walk right in the kitchen. She's trying to move around me to like get stuff in order. And I go, so I feel like you're Italian. Are you Italian? And she goes, I am. And I go, Sicilian? And she goes, yes. And I go, mob connected? And she goes, no. And I go, well, anyway. So that's our engagement, right? So that's how we met. So during the night, with the different girls, Miss Pamela gives you a 2-minute, 12-minute prompt. You have prompts and you get 12 minutes, you just write, and then you read it out loud. So, whatever you want to write. So a lot of girls write, the funny stuff or some little things. And mine were always like really true stories to the point to where after I'd read my little short 3 pages, the group would be like with their mouths open, like, wait, so your man got killed? And I'm like, yeah, that really happened, so it was like kind of like they were blown away. And so then now I don't see Linda at all anymore.
Yeah.
So this is like in the fall, and then comes February and the Grammys, and I end up with an extra Grammy ticket, and I already have everything paid, and I got my room and everything. So I thought, who should I? Let me see if Miss Pamela wants to go. So I call Miss Pamela, and she's like, oh, Donald, I can't. I'm going to be out of town, whatever. And I go, I'm going to call Linda Beckstrom. So I call Linda. Now she doesn't really know me,
Yeah.
So I go, just like that, like natural. Hey, so Linda, I got an extra ticket. You want to go to the Grammys with me? And they're like really good VIP seats. And she was like, wow, well, let me talk to my husband. She was like, wow, that's an odd thing. Like whoever call, like that's not a call you would think you would get, right? So she talks to her husband and he goes, yeah, you should definitely go. So I told Linda, here's the thing. I don't just go for the Grammys. I stay a week because I love LA and I got like my little routine. I got to go to the whiskey. I got to go up to Mulholland. I got to go to, like Ventura Boulevard. Like I got all these little things. I got to go to Manhattan Beach. I got to, like I'm crazy, And she was like, no, we'll stop. It's fine. So she told me after the fact that she told her husband, this is either going to be the worst nightmare trip of my life with this girl or the best in my life, right? So while we're talking and during spending time with her, I'm kind of telling her, we're just talking, and she's going, oh my God, it makes absolutely no sense that you're like intelligent, smart, you're like, you know what I mean? Like, how did this happen? You're not supposed to be alive, right? So I told her, well, I'm going to write a book, and she goes, it's later when we start talking. And then we're driving down Sunset Boulevard, right? And so everything's a moment for me because I like to say I was in a self-induced drug coma for 36 years, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate every moment, every leaf that comes off the tree. I mean, I'm grateful, right? So everything's got to be a memory and a moment, right? So I'm driving. We had a rental car. I rented the car, and I'm driving down Sunset Boulevard, and I have music blasting, right, rock and roll, right, and I look at her and I go, hey, you want to help? Will you want to help me write my book? And she goes, what? And I go, do you want to help me write my book? What? And she tried to turn the radio, and I couldn't. No, I stopped her. No, it's got to be the moment. If it's going to be a yes, this is what I'm going to remember. This actually, her son used to be in a rock band that then broke up when he was a teenager, called Kids These Days. So I was actually playing one of her son's rock songs on the radio real loud. So it had to be that moment. So I lean closer. Do you want to help me write my book? And then, so I'm thinking, I'm expecting a yes, right? And she goes, well, I'll have to think about it. I was like, oh, you ruined the whole moment, But anyway, but she's professional and had to make an outline and figure things out. And we went from there.
So the thing that gets me is, because I smoked pot when I was a kid. We did LSD, we did peyote and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't get into drugs. I mean, hard stuff till about 1982. And then I had a couple of years that I just lost myself, and I went to Betty Ford. And then I got out of America, and I, met up with Angie because I knew Angie and David since I was 17 in Max's, Kansas City. But
I
anyway,
love Angie.
I met up with Angie again, and I had got through the program, and we went to Europe. So I was down in the hole for maybe a couple of years. You know what I mean? But I was down in the hole. I mean, really, doing everything and anything. But what really got me, because I lost so many musicians to it, And I knew
It's
Johnny
sad.
Fingers. When I
Yeah.
was young, I knew Johnny, and Johnny used to tell me all the time, "You can fucking play, and you're good. I don't want you hanging around here in CBGBs. Get your fucking union card and get the fuck out of the city. And I don't
Yeah.
want to see you down. If I ever catch you doing dope or heroin, I'm going to kill you." Which, of
Yeah.
course, but I didn't. Well, not around him anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing was, how did that progressively get worse for you? I mean, people got to read the book, but in you personally, how did it progress to the point?
Well, nobody was holding me accountable. Like my grandmother hid everything from my father, even though. So my grandmother would say, like, you clearly, behavior. So what I want to get back to is like if if my family would, like I said, I don't blame them, but like mothers and fathers of today, if they see their child who's 6 or 7 or 8 who is interested in art, buy them an art set. Encourage that. If they want to play an instrument, encourage that, right? Because often people that are very, I forget what side of the brain, but one's like a mathematical side and one's creative, right? I'm the creative side, right? And I always joke around and I always go, I have a horrible voice. I sing loud when I like the song, but I always say, I could have been a rock star. I got the energy, the personality. I could have been, right? So, but anyway, but parents need to watch that because like I said, when I was like in 6th grade, I won the Presidential Physical Fitness Award, and in the state of Illinois, only 6 kids won it. So like roller skating, I raced, I won trophy after trophy. I mean, this is early on. And so then I got bored. I was really smart in school and it was boring, I didn't really have to study. I could still pass the test. And then my mind would wander, right? Now, maybe if my mind would have wandered into, something constructive, creative that kept my interest, maybe that would have made a difference. We'll never know, right? But parents these days, if you see your child picking at the piano, pull that out of them, because all kids have something they want. Maybe they want to be a mathematician, whatever, there's something, and the parents, it's their obligation to kind of pull that out, pay attention, right? So, but with me, my grandmother hid so much from my father, and she never wanted him to know. And so she had and I was a juvenile delinquent. I was always getting arrested even as a juvenile. And she had
which is funny. It's funny because I can't believe you would be. It just amazes me that when I see.
No, I was fearless. I was I wouldn't listen to anybody. So I started hanging with this other cool crowd because they kept my interest, and they were all in the lower classes. I was in the higher class. And so I started purposely failing tests so they could bump me to the low class. And the teachers knew what I was doing, but I'm relentless, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to keep failing. So they had no choice but to put me with the kids in the low class. So, and then I started, me and my friend Keith Norman, may his soul rest in peace. He died of an overdose of heroin when maybe 22 years old. But anyway, but he was I grew up with him. Anyway, and his father was dying of cancer. And so we didn't even know, we were 9 years old, and we were going through the father's medicine cabinet. We had no idea what the fuck we were taking, but we're like, oh, let's try these. This is a pretty color. Let's try this. Let's try this. And we'd get fucked up, man. And so it wasn't until years later that I even found out that was morphine, right? Morphine, Seconal, blues, rods, Christmas trees, right?
I must have loved it.
I know, me too. Oh my God. Unbelievable. So
nobody even remembers Quaaludes,
Oh,
nobody even remembers Quaaludes. When that came in the
714, Roar 714, and then it went to Lemon. Then Roar went out of business, went to Lemons, right?
Right.
And then they had the Mexican Mandrakes, right? Remember?
Mandy.
So, yeah, no, I have a photographic
They were in
memory.
England. See, Mandrakes were in India. Were in England. So I remember on touring and going over there in 76, 77. And meeting all the fucking punks, Billy Idol, the whole crew.
Yeah,
And that's what, mate, we're doing fucking Mandy's. What's that? I said, what the fuck is Mandy's? They're Bob Pitchowitz. I said, oh, you mean like two-and-alls? What the fuck? Because I used to bring two-and-alls and second-alls on me.
I used to, oh my God, me too.
I got them through customs. They didn't fucking care.
Yeah.
I
used to write my own scripts.
I need them.
I used to write my own scripts. When I was in high school, I went to the library and I stole the prescription pad from my doctor, and I thought, well, I got to learn how to write now. So I literally went to the Oak Park Library and got a book on Latin so I can learn how to write enough in Latin to be able to write a prescription. And then I got a physician's desk reference, right? So I can get the chemical names of these, drugs that I wanted, right? And I was writing my own script. I don't know. But the thing is, when I was a juvenile delinquent, my grandmother had this agreement with the Oak Park police, right? And she'd say, well, if you pick, they'd call her, we picked up your granddaughter. What do you want us to do? You got to come. Because normally the parents got to come and get the kid, right? And they would give the courtesy because of my family. And they would, my grandma would say, oh, she'd go like, butana, she'd be like, yeah, butana, go nuts, put her in a cab and send her home. So they would just send me home, right? So when I come in, my grandma would be biting her hand or like this and all crazy, with the teeth. She would do it like, and then as she got older, when it was fun, that's it. My grandma told me, because I said, Grandma, when you die, I'm going to be sad. How could I ever live without you? And she used to tell me, when I die, you're going to feel really bad. But one day it'll be a time where you're going to tell funny stories about me and I'll continue to live. So I have to tell you, when she used to always do this, right? Then as she got older, they were false teeth. And one time she did it and her teeth hit me in the fucking head, It was like, when she was like, and I'm like, what the fuck, Grandma? You're throwing your teeth at me, So I was such a little smart ass, and there was really nothing she could do. But anyway, so by the time I was 14, I was already and not that I had no plan ever, right? So at 14, I'd get out of freshman year of high school. I had my little backpack, and I'd go. I just off the top of my head, fuck it. I want to go to California. I'm going to fucking California. I'd stick my thumb out and just hitchhike all by myself with my little jean skirt on and my little moccasin boots, because it was like at the end of the hippie era, and my little jean jacket and my backpack, I'd throw the books out, and then just had my little backpack, and I hitchhike all by myself. I'm really lucky I didn't get killed, right? And I'd get to LA and I'd just wander around, and by the time I'd get to LA, then I'd realize, fuck, I don't have money and stuff. And then I'd call my home, I'd call my father at the hot dog stand, Daddy, can you wire me a few $100s? Or he'd say, what the fuck, you motherfucker? I'm going to break both your motherfucking legs and both your motherfucking arms. And then I'd be like, yeah, I know you are, Daddy. Anyway, could you send the 200? I didn't care, So, I was always doing that. And sometimes I'd lie. And I remember I told my grandmother, I go, Grandma, me and my friend, I'm going to be staying at my friend's house for, a few days for the weekend. She was like, oh, okay, in Oak Park. But really, me and my friend hitchhiked to Sedalia, Missouri for the Ozark Music Festival.
That's just incredible. Some of the
things. I know, and I was so young. Oh my God, that was like if I would have been 1 or 2 more years older, I would have been at Woodstock, right? But I was too young. I was only 11. So when I got there, oh my God, I fit right in. I was like in rock and roll heaven. Let me tell you, with all those hippies and, I remember it being so hot, but I saw all those great bands and, I just started walking. I mean, I owned it, at 14 years old, I owned it, and then hitchhiked back, and she never knew, no one ever knew.
What's amazing about some parts of the books, me and Charlie were watching Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yeah, my scam.
Yeah, and that was the thing, because my son said, Dad, Ange, because I call you Ange. She goes, Ange, when we gonna meet her? When we gonna meet her? I said, soon. But he said, how did she figure out that scam with the freaking tickets?
I don't know. So it started, I know, and people see, and then I never got caught. I got chased all over the country by the FBI. And I did it they even said I did it so brilliantly that they couldn't quite, they knew I was doing it, but the paper trail was leading where I could have had a good defense as to why I was getting these tickets. So a friend of mine, Mark Tarrant, who I grew up with, he was traveling. I'm like, where you been? We're in high school. We're probably 19. And I'm like, where the fuck you been, Mark? And he's like, oh, I went to New Orleans. I'm like, how? And he's like, no, I got this thing going where I could get a free ticket. I'm like, what? So he tells me, because back in the day they had ticket by mail.
Yep.
Okay, that's how it started. So he was just ordering okay, I'm, make a reservation. I want a ticket by mail me the ticket. And then they say, how do you want to pay, credit card or check? And he would say check. And then, can you overnight it? And they'd overnight it. He'd hurry up and take the flight and come back before they would know that it wasn't paid. Because back in the old days, it would take, 3 days for the mail, 3 days to come back. And they have to always give the benefit of the doubt to the customer, right? You can't just accuse the customer of not, and I was a real good, and I want to just say for your viewers, I don't mean to idolize or glorify any of this. I'm just telling the truth. But I now in my current life, so I used to be, I have transformed my hustling skills into positive negotiation skills for the greater good of the community. And they've served me well because I'm able to really help the community because I have the gift of gab, right? And it's nothing bad and people trust me and I'm honorable. And if I say, hey, I stand with this cause, people will stand behind me. But with that airline scam, I told Mark, there's got to be a way we could get, so we started flying. I'm like, oh, cool, let's go to Tucson, let's go visit Mary Jean, let's go here, let's go there. And so we'd get back before that, and then you get an invoice in the mail, we throw in the garbage, And I thought there's got to be a way for us to get money out of this. I was always real criminal-minded thinking, And I started thinking, because on the ticket that they mail you, it says form of payment, check. So you can't cash that in. So back in those old days, I would not to act funny, but you have to study whatever you're going to do, right? You got to really figure it out and you need all the information. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to get a ticket because tickets are like money, right? So I'm going to take that ticket. I'm going to make different reservations and make them maybe $50 more, similar, right? And then and then I go pick those tickets up at the airport and then at O'Hare Airport until I got too hot. I was scared the Secret Service would be picking me up. But anyway, and then I'd say, I'm here to pick my ticket up. And they'd be like, okay, how do you want to pay for that? And I'd say, well, here, I'm going to pay with this ticket. They don't know that it's not paid for yet because I just got it. Like, oh, okay. And then I tell them, and the balance I'll pay in cash. Okay, $56. Here you go. And so now the second line says, the top line goes to OFOP, original form of payment, check, form of payment, cash, right? Okay, you do it one, because back in the old days, there's only room for 2 lines on a ticket on their computer systems. So I do it a third time, same thing, maybe now I pay $30. Now it lifts the 50 up to original form of payment, cash, form of payment, cash. Now the ticket's worth $1,500, $2,000, and I'd have several of them and then wait a day. The process would take about 3 days, and I'd wait a day and then go cash it in and say, yeah, my plans have changed, or I had a death, or my imaginary husband just died and I can't take the trip, whatever. And so then they'd say, do you want a cashier's check back? Or I'm like, you know what? I paid cash, so I prefer cash, and they all this money. So then I started getting really crazy, and I would tell my friend Mark, because I was doing it at O'Hare Airport so often that it was kind of getting to where, different airlines, but still, it was like when I would say it, I'd be like looking at the side of my eye, like cool as a cucumber, but yeah, they're going to grab me any minute now, right? And then I said, you know what, LA, they got 5 fucking airports. Let's go there for a week, right? And so then we went on a road. We'd fly to LA and hit all of your airports, right? Burbank, Orange County. Yeah. LAX, whatever, and we'd leave LA with 20,000, right? And then sometimes we'd rent a car from Chicago and drive all the way across the country, ending in LA, and we'd stop at any major city, Denver, Albuquerque, and each place, and I literally had like a briefcase with tickets already ready to go,
Amazing.
And when I'd leave, say maybe I'd stay at your house, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to come visit you and Charlie. Do you mind if I get some mail at your house? And you're clueless. Sure, I don't care. And then FedEx drops off an envelope for, and I'd change my name a couple letters or something a little bit off. And then then I'd get to your house and be like, oh, this came in the mail. Oh, thanks, Chico. And then you don't know, and then, all right. And then I do my thing in your city, and then I leave, and then I might call you in 3 weeks, and you call me, because back then we didn't have cell phones, but like if I was at my house or something, and you'd say, Ange, the fucking FBI came here looking for you. They were talking to, because they had the trailer where I'd have the tickets mailed, So anyway, in the end, I did get caught as far as
How long did that last? How long did that
about a year.
About a year.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And how much did you think you probably absconded in that?
Definitely close to 100,000, maybe more, maybe close to 200,000. And then
yeah, what did they? How did they? Is that what you went to jail for at the end, or what?
No. I never did go to jail.
That wasn't it, right?
No. So I went to jail. Okay. So that particular case, and you know what? And my grandmother used to say, "You're too smart for your own good." And I was always able to like figure out how to beat the system. Like that was like adrenaline to me. I liked knowing that I'm gonna fuck you and you're not gonna even know it. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of like courts. I'm talking about courts. And when I went, so the FBI is chasing me all over. At one point, they went by my stepmother, my father's house. And my stepmother was an angel. She invited the feds in and made them coffee. And my father was sleeping. And they're asking her, well, do you have a picture of your daughter? Or do you know her social security number? Because they were trying to put a case together. And then my innocent stepmother, the angel she was like, well, here, have your coffee. Let me go see if I can get a picture. My father overheard. And him being the type of connected guy he comes out, he's like, who the fuck are you? And they're like, we're with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And he was like, do you got a warrant? And they're like, no, but we just have some questions about your daughter. He was like, get the fuck out of my house. Don't come back until you have a warrant. And if you see the bitch, he pointed at my 1-year-old son. My son.
That was a real goujine.
Yeah, no, and my son was sitting on the floor, my little 1-year-old baby playing, and my father goes to the feds. He goes, you see this baby right here? When you find the bitch, let her know, come get her fucking baby, So anyway, my father did call me. What the fuck are you doing? The fucking feds were here. I'm like, Daddy, it's nothing. I swear to God, it's nothing. He's like, oh my, I'm gonna kill you. It was always that.
There's something in the No Direction Home chapter which I like. Your Honor, I said when asked about the money during my next court appearance. I don't know if you remember this part.
Yeah,
I actually remembered where I put some of the money.
Yeah, well,
would you like if I returned it?
Where's the money? That was another scam. That was an embezzlement on some old man. Yeah, that was another scam. That was about 180,000.
What the fuck are you doing? Your grandma said it. Banging a fucking wall apart. Oh my God.
So that's funny because I left money with my stepmother, like a lot of money, like 10, 20, 30,000, right? During that's a different, that's not the airline scam. That's another one. So,
I tell everybody about that one too. That's even better, bro.
I would stop by my dad's house and I'd say, Pat, put this away, hold this for me. And one time I didn't know my father was in the next room and he sees that I'm giving, like he looks, and there's 30,000 on the table. And she's like, oh, okay. Because she was so, honest to God, she was so innocent, right? And so he goes, what the fuck is going on here? Where did you get, how much is that? I go, oh, 30,000. Pat's going to hold it for me. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing now? And I go, Daddy, I didn't tell you. And he's like, oh, like he's looking at me like, here we go, bitch, So I go, because I don't go to the horse races. But anyway, I went with this guy and I put a few dollars on the trifecta and I won. Can you believe it? And he was like, no, I don't fucking believe it. If any shit comes from this, I'm going to break your motherfucking legs and your motherfucking arms. So anyway, I left the money with her. So as it turned out, when I got caught, right, I had a good run with that too. But anyway, and so the bulk of the money, obviously I was spending it on, drugs and flying all over. And I was like, just living the high life. Right. So anyway, in my bedroom, in my grandmother's house, she had this big, beautiful picture on the wall. So I took the picture off the wall, right? And I took the nail out and I made the hole a little bit bigger. And I'd roll up $100 bills and put them in there and hit them so they'd fall to the floorboard. And then I'd hang the picture back. So it was like filling with money. Like, and every day I was withdrawing from this man's account, maybe 15, 20,000. Now back then, where I made my mistake is that I didn't know that anything 10,000 or more, they report to the IRS, you know?
Now you can't, same thing. Now it's
Yeah, no,
5,000.
it was even back then, but I didn't know that, right? So they're kind of watching me anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so anyway, so now when I got busted, I called home and I said, Pat, come bond me out. I need 10,000. My bond was 100,000. And she goes, well, all right, I'll be right there. She came and bonded me out. So I'm out and I'm going to court like it's nothing, you know, like whatever, you know. And my father got me a really good lawyer, you know, and you know, I'm just going to court like, okay, what, like, it was kind of an inconvenience. That's my attitude when I got in the court. Like I'm kind of inconvenienced here. Could we hurry this up? Because I've got things to do. You know, I have drugs to sell, drugs to pick up, drugs to do. Like you're like, you know, painting my day here. And so that's the kind of attitude I had. And so finally I go in on one court date and oh my God. And they charged me with conspiracy also because they were trying to lock me up forever. So what they did is anyone that was hung at my house, they arrested them for conspiracy because they got high with me with that illegal money.
Rico or whatever. Yeah.
Rico, right. Yeah. And so I felt bad for these people that really had nothing to do with it. And who's going to ask if we're getting high? Are you going to ask where'd you get the? I don't give a fuck where you got the money. Just give me the dope, right? So I had my stepmother go. Their bonds were all little, and I had them bond. I bonded all those people out. It was like 6 people, and I was the ringleader, right? But really, they had nothing to do with it. So anyway, so when I go to court this one particular time. And they had a special prosecutor for me. Like it wasn't the regular district attorney that stayed the whole day. And next case. No, this was a fucking bitch from downtown Chicago, God knows where, only to come to the main court for my case. And then she
Kamala Harris.
Yeah. I was like, and she hated me. I'm not kidding you. So they kept saying, "What'd you do with the money? What'd you do with the money?" I'm like, I'm a drug addict, you know. I did it. I shot it all. I started it all. I gave it away. Like, there's absolutely no way in that time frame you could have spent that much money on drugs. I'm like, yeah, there is. I have a lot of friends and we all do dope. And so I buy everybody drugs and I wasn't going, right? So finally I get to court on one day and my lawyer had not got there yet. And so my lawyer said, I know he told me he's going to be a little bit late. So I go up, they call my name, I go in the front, and the state's attorney made the mistake of saying, Your Honor, we're going to offer her, to her lawyer when he gets here, a plea bargain if she takes 15 years. And so when I heard 15 years, I thought, oh my, like I was horrified, right? So the judge said, Miss Bianca, do you know when your lawyer will be here? And I said, he should be here. I mean, you know, I can go call him, you know, his office and find out. And he said, he's like, okay, we'll pass the case. So that lady state's attorney said, Your Honor, she just knows right now that we just offered her 15 years and you're letting her walk out the courthouse room to go to the payphone. He goes, she'll be fine. She comes to court every month. She's not going to go anywhere. So I thought, oh yeah, watch this move I'm about to make, right? So I did go to the phone. I saw the lady walk out the courtroom to kind of look, and I'm on the phone and I said, hey, so I said, Joe Stillo, you know, is he? She's like, well, he'll be there in a little while. And I go, okay, well, and you know, it's kind of stalling. The lady went back in. Now, Joe Stillo was one of the lawyers indicted for the Greylord, Operation Greylord. So all my lawyers that my father would get me and judges they all went to jail too. But anyway, so as soon as she walked in, I said, okay, thanks to his office, you know, and I ran out of 26th in California, the courthouse. I flagged the first fucking cab and got the fuck out of there. And I was on the run then for a while. And then when they did catch me, then when I went in front of the judge and he wouldn't give me a bond, he said, no, because somehow you'll get the bond money, and then I won't see you again until the sheriffs bring you back. So they were going to go forward. And I said, Your Honor, actually, I do remember where I have some money that I can return, and he was like, really? And then he said, well, and I'm in custody, and he says, all right, well, I'll have 2 detectives take you in shackles. Where do you, he goes, tell us where it is. I go, there's absolutely no way. I got to go with it. It's my grandma's house, so you'll never find it. And she won't. My grandma's from Sicily. She's not letting you in the house. I don't give a fuck. Even if you have a warrant, you have to break the door down. So he says, all right, take her in shackles. So they bring me to my grandma's house. We go upstairs. I'm screaming, Grandma, give me a hammer. I need a hammer. And the whole time, my uncle, she's going, and the cops are right there. And they're like, what
got it right.
doing? And then my grandma's going, Joey's gonna, her son, my uncle, Joey's, and she's praying to her dead mother, Mama, Joey's gonna kill me, Joey's gonna kill me. So I go, Grandma, shut the fuck up and give me the fucking hammer. And so I'm banging, I'm breaking the drywall, and as I'm pulling money out, I'm pushing it further back, So I'm throwing it on the bed, pull. Push them, pull. So it came to be 27,500. So I guess they figured, okay, they never looked. Now my grandma was nobody's fool, right? My grandmother did look, and she did get the rest of the money, which was about 65,000.
Wow.
And she put it in a 3-pound coffee can and buried it underneath the tomato plants in our backyard. And so it was like, we joke around now because my Uncle Joey, he didn't even know that I put that money in that wall till he read the book.
I opened that. I wanted to talk to you about that because it's so funny. I think it's so funny.
It's hilarious, right? And so my uncle
said, "What a fucking movie! We gotta make a fucking movie out of this."
My uncle said he read the book and he goes, what the fuck? That's why that wall was always cracked. So I guess at one point he took it down, he had new drywall put in, right? But it keeps cracking, in that house. And the house is old, right? But anyway, and he goes, that's why. And he goes, Grandma never told me. And he goes, she was like my rappy. Are you kidding me? She would never tell on me. And so she called my father the next day. And now I had to go back to jail. And she called my father. Now her nightstand is pretty high. I fucking broke the wall at the baseboard, right? And she tells my father, her son, Petey, I was moving the furniture and it hit the wall and it broke it. Could you come fix it? He didn't ask no questions, right? And it was impossible. There was no way that nightstand could have made that hole. But he didn't ask no questions. He fixed it. That was the end of it. They never talked about it again. So when we got to court and they were sentencing me, because I remember when we were walking out of the house, I'm back in handcuffs, and the doctors, I hear one go like this. He hits his chest, and he tells the other cop, you know what I got here, right? And he goes, I got a house payment. And so I looked and I go, excuse me, what did you say? And he's like, nothing, just keep walking. So I get in the car. Now when it comes to the sentencing, the judge is saying, well, I'm going to take into consideration lenience that you gave back 22.5. Hold on, Your Honor, no, I gave 27.5. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Bianca, hold on. No, it says right here 22.5. I'm like, the police stole it from me. They stole it from me, So my lawyer is getting, Joe Stillo, he's trying to like step on my foot, and like, because now I'm gonna just do boot camp and do 5 months and go home, right? And so, and it cost my dad a lot of money to get that deal. But anyway, so the lawyer is trying to tell me in my ear, kind of like, shut the fuck up. You stole it. They stole it. Who gives a fuck? You'll be home in 5 months, So I shut up. But the police did. They, whatever. I stole it too, though.
And how long did you, well, before we get to that, you really fell down the hole of heroin.
I started getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. So I started doing heroin when I was 17. And I remember, because like I said, I have a photographic memory. And I went to Tucson, and I already liked barbiturates and quaaludes, and I was already doing
it's the heroin.
I get to Tucson, and my best friend, Joanne, her older sister was a heroin addict. And so I knew something, you read that something's going on, and I just kind of wanted it on and whatever. Eventually, I backed her into a corner, and she didn't want that for me. She pleaded with me, no, you like downers too much, no. And one day she was dope sick, and I said, okay, look, she asked me, because my family was always wiring me money. And she said, I'll make a deal with you. No, I said, I'll make a deal with you. If you give me just 3 cents of the bag, I'll buy you one. And then she was like, oh no, Ange, I don't want it to. No, she really didn't want that for me, right? But she was sick. So she did it. And then now we laugh, and she's been clean 30 years, but now we laugh. And I go, Mary Jean, you didn't even give me 3 cents. You gave me a wet fucking cotton. And she's like, yeah, and thank God I did, because you were so high, you would have OD'd on 3 cents. But I'll never forget, we did the dope. And then we went to an Edgar Winter concert, and we were like, and the whole time I could hear the music. I was in the bathroom throwing up, and what would make me want to do that again, right? But I did. And then as time went by, I held it together. I was fucking up, but I didn't fall completely off the planet till I got somewhere in my late 20s. And I started really to the point where my family, there was nothing more they could do with me. I was never coming home. And I don't blame them, and I'm grateful that, and they never told me like they disowned me, but they didn't. Like, if I ever really wanted to get my life together, they would have welcomed me back with open arms. No question, right? I just never went home anymore. But I am grateful because I kept having babies,
Yeah.
and thankfully they kept taking my babies, right? And so my oldest son, Sean, had been through way more than any adult human or child should ever have seen, right? Get me with the gangbangers in dope spots, with police, watching his mother get arrested, and then having to go by my grandma, because he lived with me till he was probably like in 8th grade or something.
Yeah.
But he spent a lot of time by my grandma, because I was always out. And but anyway, but my other children, my daughter Ashley, it was maybe 2 years, so she really doesn't have it's bad enough to grow up as a little girl on Mother's Day and know you don't have a mother, but she didn't see all that Sean saw, so he probably was the most traumatized. And the last 3, they didn't see any of that, so I'm grateful for that. But it doesn't replace that they didn't have a mother. I was a piece of shit mother, and I when I started realizing that, as I was getting worse and worse, and I started being on the west side of Chicago in the hood, and really criminal activity and really bad, and I ended up doing 12 years in prison over 7 periods of time. 7 different sentences.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Which gets me back to what you're doing right now, and I hope I got everything right here. Your prevention group is called Core Violence. Is that it? Or
No, so I'm not with Cure Violence any longer,
yeah,
because the deputy director of this anti-violence group that I was so blindly dedicated to, right,
yeah,
sexually assaulted me in a locked office. So I got loud enough that he was like, "What's her at the university? I better let her out the room." Where he literally exposed himself, trying to shove my face on it, and I'm like, "No, I'm not," And so anyway, I would have gone to my grave with that, but he started bullying me after the fact because I didn't play ball, right? And after so long, I just couldn't take it anymore. I just really wanted him away from me, but it was horrible. And anyway, Cure Violence was left the University of Illinois. I do still work at the University of Illinois, but I work in the College of Medicine, and I also work for a not-for-profit part-time called Activists Inc., and they're a violence prevention organization, top of the line community organization with the best workers, and they're like family to me. And so I do a lot of work with them, and then on my own. So fuck Cure Violence. And then 20 more women came forward. So it wasn't just me. So they've been knowing this creep serial predator has been working there and allowing it. But anyway, forget them. But anyway.
So let me ask you a couple of other questions that I wanted to get to. You were the Goodwill Ambassador for Golden Rule International
I was
Chamber by
appointed
Nations?
by the United Nations. So
Yeah.
I was appointed a Goodwill Ambassador. And
Wow.
I know, right? And I started Googling it, and I was like, oh
Wow.
my God,
I did
Leonardo
too.
DiCaprio, Angelina Jolie. I was like,
Yeah.
like, wow, right? And then the university,
Two Angels, one real and one completely nuts. That's the other one. That's the other
I know,
Angel.
right? And so then, and then I also got
How
an
could you
honorary
lose?
doctorate.
How could you? Let me tell you a great story. Let me tell you a great story about those two. Me and Charlie are at Denny Trejo's place on La Brea, and we're having tacos, right?
Mhm.
And Brad just leaves Angela. He leaves her, and he went through drinking. Went through this program. Anyway, me and Danny are there with my son, and anyway, a motorbike pulls up, and my son was driving my Sportster at the time. And I don't drive. I don't ride anymore. So he pulls up, and anyway, I was sitting there, it's me, Charlie, and Danny, and who walks in? Fucking Brad. And I'm telling you something. I started laughing because I know him for many, many fucking. They were all younger than me. So me and Danny were going. He goes, "Oh, the newly free man. Look at who it is. How did the most supposedly beautiful woman in the world leave the most sexy man in the
I
world?
know, right? What happened? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
what happened? What the fuck happened?" And he goes, things, as you guys say in New York, cheek, things. I went, yeah, things, man. Her fucking loss. Her loss. Everybody, every other woman's, but supposedly he's back with Jennifer Aniston now. I don't know if
Yeah, well, they were a cute couple too, though.
yeah, she was two at the time when she was younger. She didn't want to have a baby to lose her shape.
Yeah, and he
You know,
wanted
it's like
children.
my
Yeah,
friend Michael Hutchins. I just had this big thing
but
on.
she's never had children, right? No,
Oh, no. But I had
no.
this big thing. I had this big thing about Michael Hutchins, these crazy lunatics. I got to be very careful now about being in public, being out in the public now, because, it's like when my friend died, my friend, killed himself, unfortunately.
Uh,
Drugs and Prozac, don't mix, as you well know.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he wanted his former girlfriend, whose name will not go mention, Helena, wouldn't have a baby because she was a freaking model. Oh, I can't. I said, you can't have a baby 9 months out of your freaking life to
I
have a
don't know
baby.
what's wrong
It
with
makes
these
me
girls.
nuts.
My body bounced right back like nothing.
Hey,
They basically,
hello,
oh,
hello. That's why I always say about my son, because I waited till I was 42 to have Charlie. And because I didn't want to have one being a Mr. Rock and Roll and being on a stage all
well,
the
then you were touring all over. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I didn't want that. And if you like all my stupid rock and roll friends, I was like, why are you having a baby with her? She's a
yeah,
freaking ex-pole dancer. Are you out of your freaking mind?
yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah,
a lunatic. She's taking you for freaking money. Why don't you just try to find a normal girl? All of
yeah.
them. Nikki Sixx, all these guys, I look at them and go, this marriage is not going to last. This marriage is not going to
I,
last.
I actually tried to get Nikki Sixx to write the foreword to my book because I thought it would be
That would have been great
good.
because he
Yeah,
was
maybe
he
the
was
10-year
I
anniversary.
remember him when I first came to LA, and he was working at some little liquor store on Sunset Boulevard, and he was a bass player. He's a bass player, and
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh, hey, what's happening?" And I used to come in with Frankie Infante and all these guys,
yeah,
and he'd go, "Man, I got a band." I said, "Yeah, you're gonna be a fucking rock star one day." He says, "How do you know?" I said, "Look at your fucking mirror. Look at
yeah.
the
You
mirror."
have the luck.
I says, "I don't care if you don't know how to fucking play. And if you don't know how to play, come to my house and I'll teach you."
Yeah, yeah,
I knew he was going to be a rock star. Then
yeah,
it happened. Then, hey, Chief, come see us. I'm going,
yeah,
you need a
yeah.
fucking guitar player. You need a guitar player. And that was Bob. That's Mick Mars. I said, when you get that guy in the band, forget about it. You're not even gonna remember me. Oh, fuck you. I'll always remember you. I
Yeah.
said, yeah, whatever.
Do they remember you?
No, of course.
Yeah. So you also have friends with my friend Carmine Apiece, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So Carmine, because so Gene Cornish, I called him this some years ago when we just had a manuscript, and I wanted to get like some reviews from people like like that, right? So I called Gene first. I called Debbie Davis, his fiance, and she was like, I don't know, like, call Gene, So I called Gene. I go, Gene, what do you think? You think Carmine would read this book and maybe write a review? And Gene was kind of like, Ange, you got to ask him. You just call him because you call him and ask him. But he's in that big rock and roll world, in that bubble, right? And I said, yeah, you're right. He wouldn't. Why would he care about little old me? Whatever, right? So some time went by, and I freaking he came to Chicago, I knew they were going to be playing here with Vanilla Fudge or one of them. And so I called them and I said, hey, can you put my name at the door? He was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I go, now I'm backstage, and I thought, you know, fuck it, I'm just going to ask them, right? And I said, Carmine, so I got this book, this crazy story, and me and my co-author, Linda, blah, blah, I got a manuscript. Would it be any possible way that, I know you're really busy in this rock and roll, you know, world, but would you be interested in reading it? You know, if I'll send it. And he's like, hell yeah, I would read that shit. So he said, I'm going to be on tour in Belgium. Send it to me. I'll download it. When I'm on the tour bus, I'll read it. Now, he just released his book, Stick It, admitting to having sex with 3,200 groupies, right?
Right.
So,
which I never did.
Okay, well,
I never did. I never did. It was because of how I was probably brought up with my first set of foster parents, and then my second set of foster parents, and then when I got into that I was just so afraid of ever catching anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
So,
I used to see them, and I came from New York anyway, and I used to say, she's wearing the wrong shoes, and she's got the wrong labels. Let me take that coat off. And I look at the label, I'd go, no. And that's bad perfume. And too much of it. And
probably some syphilis in there. Yeah.
I ain't going anywhere near them. And then I had Bill Graham as my freaking manager. And I had all these great tour managers over the years. And it was like, if you missed that fucking bus tonight because you got the clap or something's wrong with you, you're out of the fucking band. Remember that?
Yeah.
Even though I had contracts, I was a union guy, I stayed away from them.
Yeah.
I let Paul Stanley and those guys do that shit. I never liked them. And I knew all of them. I knew all the best ones. I knew Serinda. I knew Pamela. I knew Miss Mercy. I knew all B.B. Buell.
Miss Mercy.
So I knew
sad.
all the beautiful girls.
Yeah.
And they used to tell me all the time. Especially, I remember Serinda going, don't you go near any of these fucking girls. I fucking find out that thing that you have is going to be gone.
I
never got involved. I always had girlfriends, and I always had girlfriends.
Yeah.
What kind of card you come to the show tonight?
Yeah. Well, I would have been telling you a 911 Porsche Targa.
Hello.
You know. Yeah. But anyway, let me tell you. So Carmine says now he's in Belgium, and I'm getting calls on WhatsApp from Carmine. I'm in Chicago, and he's on the tour bus. What the fuck? In his New York accent. You know how he talks. He's hilarious. I love Carmine. He is hilarious. And
I'm gonna get Mark Stein on here soon. Mark,
Carmine's going, what the? I thought I was fucking wild. Oh my god! But you don't. And then a couple hours, and then another WhatsApp. But you don't fucking know what's wrong with you. What's like in the New York. I had to call you to tell you what the fuck, and I'm going, Carmine. And then he gets to the hotel, and I get a, like a number like private, right? And I answer, hello, and it's Carmine. And he goes, okay. He goes, even my band members are getting in on the action because they're like, read it out loud. Holy shit, right? So Carmine says to me, did you ever have, you don't have HIV, do you? And I go, no, through the grace of God, no, I do not. I don't have any. And he says, and Carmine said, but you had syphilis in your, Carmine, I have never, ever had a sexually transmitted disease. I've never, ever. And he goes, what the, how did that happen? Well, how do you not have HIV and you fucked all these men, right? And I said, hold on, Carmine, you just put a book out and said you fucked 32,000 groupies. Do you have HIV? And he goes, well, no. And he goes, but I had to get a couple of cocktail shots, with the syphilis, right? Well, now he's with Leslie Gold. I love her totally. Leslie is the best. They've been together. The radio chick. I just love her. She's the best. But anyway, and then none of that happens. And they both are my friends. But anyway, I love Carmine. And so he was just like, he was blown away. And he, as you see on the back, he wrote a great quote. He felt like he lived it with me,
That's fantastic. It's fantastic. I know all these guys, I know everybody. I know Vera because.
Yeah, I love Vera. Oh my God. I was on the phone with her almost 3 hours the night
You know,
before last.
I know Vic, so I know all these ones. I can't remember Christian Piccolini, but I probably remember him. But I don't know. But it's so funny. But now is your work that you're doing now is. Can you describe everybody of really what you do now?
So, so I have several jobs and I wear a million hats, and I have a lot of energy, as you can see, but it's all natural, and I've transferred all this crazy energy that I have into helping others. And so when I knew I was getting out of prison and I thought, fuck, I'm getting older. My father died. I'm going to end up dead in an alley. I made a prayer to God, and I normally didn't pray to God other than let the dope man be there. Don't let me get busted. So with tears in my eyes, I prayed to myself, by myself on my knees with crying. And I didn't really know how to pray. I said, God, I'll make a deal with you. If you'll take the taste of the streets and the heroin from my mouth until my last dying breath, I will help others. And honestly, this is now almost 11 years later, and I've never looked back, right? And not just say that it was that easy, but I believe that the right people were placed in my path to help me. And it was a lot of work. It wasn't easy. I had to humble myself. I was used to making money and hustling, and I had to humble myself and be without cigarettes or not, like not have any money or wear secondhand clothing, where I was going into Saks Fifth Avenue stealing up fucking, I was wearing, when gas first came out, those motherfuckers, cost a couple $100 when they first came out, right?
Yeah,
I'd steal them. I had the entire line of Sicily jeans in the early 70s.
I remember him.
Well, okay, and my father imported them from Italy, okay?
Yeah, I
And
remember them.
the overalls were like $175. So we're talking 1974. Could you imagine? So and I had to really humble myself. Even though I was a homeless, drug addict, piece of shit, I always joke and say I was the nicest smelling homeless girl out there, because I'd always be stealing perfume to sell. And so people would go, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, Dolce Gabbana, like, oh, Dolce Gabbana or CK1, or whatever, Chanel. And so I'd steal handbags, like real, designer bags, 2, 3 of them. And then I'd sell 2, so I'd have my money. I'd make good money. These are $1,000 purses or more, and I'd keep one for maybe 2 days till I got broke. Then I'd sell it. So I always fucking smelled good, and I always had a good fucking handbag, right? So, and I was my own little bougie, my own unique bougie homeless girl, right? So, and I wasn't sleeping on park benches, but I always could find someone's house I could sleep on, or really I stayed up 4 or 5 days in a row. And but anyway, it's just like, it's like really like what Linda Beckstrom says, it makes no sense. And that's why I know, I'm not a real religious person, but I am very spiritual, and I do believe in God and Jesus, and I'm grateful for my life, and I'm thankful and humbled. And so what I do now, well, when I got out, I went to a program, A Safe Haven, was getting help. They were treating like the root causes of my, like I had no rules. Even as a child, I did whatever the fuck I wanted to do. My girl would say, be home by the time the street lights get up. I'd go, fuck you. I'll be home when I want. Where are you going, Ange? I'm going out. I'm going out. That's what I would tell her. So when I started changing my life, it was like I had to be somewhere at the same time every day, and I didn't like it. It was kind of hard, but I went along. I was like, okay, let's try this, right?
Yeah,
We never tried it before. Let's try it. So really, in an effort to keep my promise to God, on my own, I had no car, and we're talking in the very beginning, and maybe the program would send me to the community center on the bus to go make a resume so I could try to get a job, even though I hadn't worked, but we're going to figure something out. And I would be on the bus, and I'd see a crowd of young guys or girls on a corner. I'd literally make the bus driver stop. No, he would say, you can get off at the next step. No, you don't understand. I have to get off. I mean, I make a big deal. That fucking bus had to stop right there. So you don't understand. I got to get off. And so I get off the bus, and I love all people, and I have a good rapport with young people. And at first, like I'd walk up, I wouldn't even know any of them, and I'd be like, okay, look, I'm not the police. I'm not the FBI. I used to be you. I did this many years in the joint. they'd be looking at me. I'm like, okay, so I'm really, I just wanted to stop and introduce myself. And I want to tell you the ugly side. So that way you're not as shocked as I am at the end of the road when they slam the cell door and you're not going anywhere for a long time. And they'd laugh, and then we started laughing. So it happened that there was a violence prevention organization, ceasefire, and there was a program manager, and they drive around and go in the communities, right? And so he saw me like maybe on 3 different occasions within a couple of weeks. And he said, now he didn't know me, right? Because he's from the north side. I'm from the west side, right? And so, and then I have mixed children. I have Spanish children, African-American children, you know. So anyway, so he's, you know, to the outsiders, like, what is that older white lady doing on the corner in the hood with these young African-American males, these teenagers that are clearly involved in violence, right? So he pulled over one day with him and another guy. They get out, they got their orange coats on, you know, like outreach, whatever it said. And so they walked up, and all the guys knew. They're like, "Hey, J-Dub." It was J.W. Hughes, and I give him a shout out in my acknowledgments. So he says hi to them. He goes, "Sister, can I holler at you?" And I go, "Sure." And he goes, "Can we walk?" And I go, "Yeah, let's walk. What's up?" You know. And he was like, so I don't know any other way to say this, and I don't mean any harm, but I have never in my life seen an older white woman on a corner with young Black kids laughing, and like they seem, "Do you know them?" And I go, "Well, no, but I now I do, but I didn't an hour ago. I've been here for an hour." And he's like, "What are you saying to them?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're just chopping it up," and I'm kind of, you know, like, I don't know, we're just talking. I got a rapport with people. And he offered me a job at $15 an hour. Now, at that time, minimum wage in Illinois is like $8. And so he was like, "Do you want to be a violence interrupter?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is, but okay." And he goes, "Well, you're doing the work right now. You are already doing it. You know, this is what we do. We street outreach, talk. You have to be able to get in and talk and be able to get to who the shooters are, right? And we don't work with the police, but you got to get to where the shooters are, so that way, and have a relationship. Because nowadays, if you like, you can. I'm in a documentary on A&E, and it's called "The Secret Life of a Gang Girl: The Untold Story."
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway, so that kind of shows what I do because they came to Chicago. I went to New York. It's with Elizabeth Vargas. Anyway, but what I do,
Who I love.
I know she's so great. And because when we were in my car filming, they had all the lights in my car, and then she's sitting here, and then you know, we're on mics everywhere, and camera and action, and all these trucks behind us, in front of us, and then we're talking, and I go, can I swear? And she goes, "Say what you want." And so there's a couple bleeps, and because she kept saying, "What do you say to these guys?" "What the fuck are you doing?" is what I say to them, you know. So nowadays it's different in our generation, right?
What the fuck are you doing?
And it's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But you see my mouth go fuck, right? So anyway, and we were supposed that actually someone called me this morning and said, yeah, last night I was laying in bed and I was taking a nap, and this girl called me, Jackie, and she goes, and I found myself going, "What?" And I go, "What, you were a bad dream?" She goes, "No, I heard your voice." And I go, "What, like, what do you mean?" And she goes, "I had Nightline on. You were on Nightline." And I go, "Oh, okay." She goes, "I look up and I'm like, what the fuck? This bitch is everywhere, you know?" So they played that whole segment on Nightline last night. I'm like, she said she was hearing my voice and in her sleep was thinking she was answering me, but it was really the TV. But anyway, so you have to have relationships with people. I may not have the relationship with every guy that we're trying to get to, but there's one of my colleagues that will. If it's not me, it'll be someone else. And by me being a girl, as other women that do this work, and there's not a whole lot of, just a small handful, but we can often get in where some guys can't get in. You know, we're a little more trusted, right? So how my normal day, like with so I work with my actual job at the University of Illinois. I work at the College of Medicine with the infectious disease doctors who are treating the prison population. Now, not that I'm a doctor or anything like that, but when they get out of prison, if they have health issues, whatever, the University of Illinois provides, or, you know, so then they're going to be getting released. I'm like a beast with resources. So you get out of prison. So I know what that's like because I lived it. Now I've learned some skills. I went back to college. I got a bachelor degree. I just graduated last May.
Yeah.
And ended up the unlikely person. I am the only one in my family to graduate college. Can you believe
Amazing.
that? I am the first college graduate in my family. I told my uncle, who's 81, I said, if somebody would have told you this 20 years ago, that one day she's going to graduate college, he said, I would say, what the fuck kind of drugs are you on? And let me get some of them, you know?
How is it? Is it raining and cold over there or what? What's happening? Is it cold?
Yeah, see.
It's getting cold? It's getting cold?
No, it's not really cold, but I think maybe we're going to have a tornado. I don't know.
Wow. Wow. I just saw the rain. So let me, so let me ask you it's not a political question, but Rahm Emanuel used to be your mayor here.
And we don't like him.
And what happened with this Lightfoot? What's happening with this Lightfoot character?
Oh, you know what? I don't always like to get into politics, but I will say I did vote for her, and I feel like she kind of fooled me because there's some things that she's doing, and I can't fully speak on because I don't really. I actually, when I go home and I work a lot, I'm always in the streets. That's what I love to do, and I'm watching social media to see who told what. One group A guy one tells group B and another gang, I fucked your bitch last night. Now he wants to go kill him, you know?
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
Lightfoot, so I don't really watch even the news. I don't even care. When I go home, I watch Andy Griffith. I'm a Trekkie. I love Voyager. 7 of 9 is my hero, you know, Jerry Ryan. If you know her, please, I need to meet her. I need a picture with her. Anyway, but Lightfoot, we've been noticing there's things that she's like, for example, they did a peaceful march. Now, these marches end up getting hijacked, and I do not agree with the looting and rioting, and I'm no way, right? So I'm very much against that. But I do support peaceful protests. That's fine, right? So there was a peaceful protest going on from the south side of Chicago down Michigan Avenue, all peaceful, going through the communities right now, even though Michigan Avenue is like the high life street downtown, but it does go into the hoods if you go south far enough, right? All right, and they walked all this way, and there were a couple cops, you know, but okay, but there was no problem. But the minute that peaceful protest, there was no violence, and then they weren't going to go all the way downtown, they were just going to Grant Park to have some speakers and talk about, you know, whatever. And the minute it got to Grant Park, it was like an arsenal of police, right? So maybe you needed that because of prior riots and you're trying to make sure, but they were kind of agitating it, the police were, and they were tear gassing the crowd that was already peaceful, and it was in the daytime. A lot of times at night, these peaceful protests get hijacked, and then there's the opportunists that go, I don't know what the fuck the cause is, but I know I can go loot that Walgreens and I could get some drugs or I could get some liquor, you know, whatever. But with this particular day, there was an indication to me that, okay, I get it because you have to keep people safe, right? And we don't want anything else destroyed. But why you didn't care about the community? So you went through, you know, African-American communities, you went through Latino communities, you went through other, you know, like different areas, right? Walking north on Michigan Avenue, no problem. Because what? You don't care if that gets torn up, but you care if anybody, you know, so like, no, you don't get to do that. You got to care about everybody, right?
You see, the thing is to me now, we haven't had any craziness in LA right now. My problem with all these organizations, and you know, I was a young lord when I was young, which was the answer to the Black Panthers, but we were Puerto Ricans in New York. And my problem is right now is that Antifa and Black Lives Matter have been hijacked, and this is what I mean by hijacked.
They have. I agree with you.
When the original Black Lives Matter came out 6 or 7 years ago, I understood what they were trying to do.
It's just about police brutality. That's it.
Yeah. Now the three girls, Gaza, De La Gaza, Pinchon, and the other one. You know, these are self-professed socialists with their manifesto that goes with Karl Marx and Engels.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the other one goes down to freaking Venezuela to speak to Maduro. And as a Latino, as a Latino and a half American Indian, when I see this, I say to myself, listen, you're not scoring any points with anybody. You're
Yeah.
not scoring any points with anybody. And if you're throwing it in people's faces, it's great. I understand why they do, why Black Lives
Right,
Matter, and the guys are wearing the shirts and everything, and they're all ball players. I understand everything. But you guys, instead of doing that, with all your privileged life,
Yeah.
LeBron James, take a bucket, a Gucci box, and start getting checks. And let me tell you where you should go first. You should
Mm-hmm.
go to Chicago and
Mm-hmm.
go to you. And I wrote LeBron. I wrote all of them. I said, listen, go to see this girl in
Yeah.
Chicago
A
and
lot of
give
celebrities
her
actually
give
get
her
a hold of me.
$100 million. Give her
Yeah.
$100 million.
A lot of celebrities do get a hold of me through word of mouth that like big time famous celebrities, and they'll be like, we want to give back, but we don't trust a lot of these organizations, and like it's word on the street. I'm like, how the fuck this person called me? And it's like the word on the street. I'm like real honorable. Like when I do every year, I'm about to do my 5th or 6th annual Christmas gifts for homeless kids. I do it every year. And I raise, not a lot, maybe, like sometimes 2,000, 1,000, 1,500, whatever. And I spend every single penny on toys. But what I do first, I don't just go. So I go to I go on tent city where there's kids living. I go to the shelters where they have no parents and they're living in a shelter. And I convince them, and I go visit these kids all the time, so they all know me. When I walk in, they go, Miss Bianca, they come hug me, right? So I go, they know they're going to see me soon. So around November, I go in there and I go, okay. So, and if there's any new ones, I go, okay. So, you may not know this, and I don't care if they're 10 years old, and I go, you may not know this, but I'm like, really? I'm friends with a lot of big time people and a lot of celebrities, and one of them is Santa Claus. I'm really good friends with Santa Claus. So you got to tell me, what do you want? You tell me 3 things. And if there's enough, then you're going to at least get one, but you might get all 3. And some of the kids go, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. And I'm like, okay, come here, sister. You better just go along with the program or you're not getting a gift, okay? So they start laughing. They're like, okay. So, but the little kids go, really, Miss Bianca, you know Santa Claus? And I'm like, yeah, he's my friend, and I'm gonna tell him what all you kids want, and then he's gonna give them all the gifts to me, and then I'm gonna come, and drop them off. And so on every gift, and I get their name, and I have all these lists, right? And it might, whatever the name is, and then what they want, right? And if I raise enough money, then I get them, 5 things each, right? So last year I bought. There was probably at least 5 gifts per child, over 300 kids. Okay, over 300. Now I spend my entire Christmas Eve not with my family, but on the street with homeless kids, right? And then so I use my own gas. I buy the wrapping paper myself out of my own money, to tape the bows. Every dime that's donated to that GoFundMe page goes to a toy, or if it's a kid. Sometimes there might be kids that are like, 14, 15, they don't have a coat, then I'll get them a coat, you know what I mean, or whatever. And last year broke my heart. And this one boy, when I asked him, he was about 9. And I asked him, I said, tell me some things you want from Santa Claus. And that boy said, I don't really want anything. Could Santa Claus make a donation to the Humane Society for the animals for me? Have you ever heard something like that? And I said, I wanted to cry, and I said, oh my God, so you want to give it, what you want from Santa Claus is for a donation to go to the Humane Society for Animals? And he's like, that's what I want. So I said, okay. So I said, well, still tell me a couple things you might want. So what I did is I did make a $50 donation out of that money in his name to the Humane Society downtown Chicago, how do they call it? The anti-cruelty shelter or whatever.
Yeah. No
So
kids.
anyway, whatever it is, I made a $50 donation, and the kid's name brought him the paper that said, "Thank you for your donation of $50." And I still gave him 2 more gifts that he said that he put on the thing. But so some of these kids are just, I mean, they're just wonderful. I love them. But a lot of celebrities find me that way. They're like, "No, you gotta talk to this girl, because she will not, like, I'm so accountable, you know what I mean? And I'm transparent. So I do a lot of extra stuff. Obviously, my main thing is making sure that people stay healthy. If I can help someone get off of drugs, not everybody's ready. When they are, I'm here. A lot of parents call me from all over the world. I had a lady call me through Facebook, an older woman from, and I just want to help. I want to save the world, right? So this older woman from Omaha, Nebraska, sends me a message. A lot of old people just don't know Facebook. They don't know the computer, right? So she says, "I'm moving into a senior building and I have nowhere to put my cats. Can you help me? I don't want them to get killed." So I felt I'm in Chicago. I felt so bad. So I call her on the Facebook, thing. And she says, a weak voice, "If I take them to a shelter, they'll get killed. And they've been with me and I can't bring them." And she was like crying. I said, "Don't worry, I'm going to take care of it." So I went relentlessly calling all over Omaha till I found a place, a no-kill shelter that was going to go to her house, pick the 2 cats up, and then they actually got them adopted. And so it was like, so like it's not only, I'm not trying to act like I need the angel of the world award. I don't care about any of that shit. I just try to help people, right, and keep my word to God. But with violence, right, a lot of it is like because you did something to me or I did something to you, right? And you're pissed and I'm pissed. And, violence has been through mankind, so we're never going to eradicate it, but we can slow it and get rid of some of the other shit that's unnecessary, like senseless violence, right? And you can't save everybody. I had to learn this a long time ago because I work with a lot of kids that I got really close with, and then they die in my heart, and someone had to tell me, some people are destined to destroy themselves no matter what you do, right?
Yeah.
So, but if I get I might get a call and say, "Hey, do you know so and so? Because he's pissed. He's all turned up now because somebody dissed him." See, on Facebook, the current new street thing is you're friends with all your enemies on Facebook. You want to be friends with them on Facebook. That way, then when I punk you out, I tag you and all your friends. So now everybody sees that I punked you out. What you going to do now, And then now you not only feel like, you got to do something, you got your own crew saying, "Man, really? You're going to let him just get away with that and talk to you?" And people are dying over this bullshit, right?
I've learned so much in the past. I've been doing, I had Chico Rey Rocks on iTunes when it first came out. I did it for like 3 or 4 years. And then I opened up my YouTube. I reopened up my YouTube channel recently. And then I've been doing, after I had the cancer and everything, which I'm free of, thank God.
Thank God.
I've been
I
doing,
was praying for you.
I've been doing it every day. I'm doing it but I realized that I have to be very careful about who I let in.
Yeah.
Because it's very
Don't want
dangerous.
that negativity. It's not healthy.
It's very dangerous. And then people start being accessing who your life and and as and everybody will tell you that about me. I don't care who I played with, you know what I mean. It was something, it was a gift that God gave me, and I didn't care about.
Yeah, and you play so
I
good.
never cared about celebrity. I really never did care about celebrity.
Does Charlie play?
Yeah, but Charlie's an engineer and an electrical engineer.
Oh,
He
okay.
knows not he knows not to be in the music business because he's seen it. And
Yeah.
he knows it's a loser's game now. You can't make any money at it. They don't care about rock
Oh,
bands. There are very few rock bands that make it now.
only if you
And,
got your own label and you're really, yeah,
the business is controlled in a very, very small window. If you don't fit in any
yeah,
of those windows, you ain't getting in. Things like American Idol and The Voice and stuff like that have ruined the business, and the digital technology
yeah.
ruined
The
the business.
Spotify and all this that you could buy
It's,
something.
it's
Yeah,
destroyed it.
nobody buys the albums. So how are the
No.
artists with money?
No, no. So we're going to do this again. I need to do this again with you because there's a lot of social programs and things like that that I want to get to talk to you about curing the inner city and whoever becomes the next president, whoever it is going to be. I feel they we have to work on poverty in this country. We have to work on
Oh,
healthcare.
absolutely, yeah.
We have to
But
work on education. They have to have people like
thing,
you heading the programs that
you know,
you know.
and here's the thing with I'm all about helping people, but and we just might need a helping hand today, and I'll be fine tomorrow. I got whatever. But like I am a firm believer in like they say, don't just give the fish, teach how to fish so they can do it themselves, right? And ACP even taught me how to be self-sufficient. Now I don't make no lot of money, you know what I mean? I live check to check. I'm as happy as can be. People ask me, you don't got no man, and I'm like, you know what? The first time a motherfucking man would text me and go, "Babe, when you coming home and what you cooking for dinner?" I would say, "Get the fuck out," because I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, I'm not. I don't. I'm not. I'm trying to save the world over here. Now if I can meet a man that
I'm
wants
the
to,
guy that does that. I'm the guy that cooks and cleans and does everything else.
yeah,
Because
then that's fine.
I can't find any girls out here that know how to cook anyway. So that's beside the point. That's
Well,
impossible.
the thing and you never know. I mean, I come home later. I come home. I mean, I got shit happens every day. And so. But here's the thing. I am alone a lot, but I'm never lonely. I'm never lonely. Never, ever, ever am I lonely. I am as happy as can be. And in my mind, I'm the richest person in the world because I'm able to help people, give back, and I like doing it. It makes me happy, right? And there's no greater joy than like I won't hear from a kid that I was gang banging and involved in violence, and I'm working with him, and then he disappears, and I don't know, did he die? Did he go to prison? Or what happened, right? And this happens a lot, and I got a call. About 2 years went by. I get a call on Facebook. He said, "Bianca," and I go, "Oh my God, where you been? I thought you were dead or something." He goes, "No, no." He goes, "No." I go, "You were in jail?" And he goes, "No, no." He goes, "I'm calling because I got a job at Jewel. I got promoted. They sent me to this northwest suburb, to a store there. I got an apartment. Now this kid was out here gang banging hard. I got an apartment. I met a girl. We got married. I got a son, and none of that would have been possible had not been for the mentorship of you." And I started crying, right? And he said, I'm calling because I thought, let me call her because I want her to come meet the family that I probably, like she said, I saved his life from him getting shot a couple times. And so anyway, and I started crying, and he's like, "What's the matter?" I go, "No, I can't even tell you how much this means to me, that I thought you were dead or in jail, and you're doing good, right?" So there's no better call to get. It's not about money. I don't care about fucking money. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I don't even make money on the book because I got published. You know how that goes. That they get the money, and I'm paying my advance off. So me and Linda haven't. But you know what? I don't care really. Maybe I'll sell 1 million copies and then I'll get 1.4 million. But you know what I would do? I'd buy a couple things for myself and I would give it back to the community. And, I really, I want to help single mothers that have children. And instead of them being like, it's okay if you need to be on public aid or you need a helping hand, that's fine. But a lot of them are now stuck in this cycle, right? And so what I want to do is start my own organization. So that way, for example, let's say a young mother has 3 or 4 kids. Let's not say, well, why do you have 4 kids? How'd you have 4 kids? What were you think? Fuck all that. The kids are here already. Let's figure out another plan B. It doesn't matter how they got here. They're here. So I want to have an organization to help in that area of a young single mother. And I would start with women of color, brown or black, right? And because these are the communities that are the most depleted, right? With getting a lot of, like not as many resources, or not taking advantage of them, or for whatever reason they feel stuck. So I would say, listen, if you want to get vocational training, or I'll buy you a computer, I'll pay for your college classes, you're home with your kids, you do your work, you get certified, then I'll help you get a job, and then my organization will help you until you get that first check. We'll get you and your kids in child care after school. And now you're self-sufficient. You continue to go up the ladder, right? And you feel good about yourself. Because I remember when I was first changing my life, and I'll never forget the first time somebody really looked at me with respect. I was like, man, I was like, wow, you know, I love that. I would like when someone was like, excuse me, you know, like ask me something. And then a senator asked me if I would come speak at a joint Senate committee and about the heroin epidemic. And I said, I thought, I'm looking around like, wait, what? You know, like, and so I had told some people at Safe Haven that we were all residents there, you know, and I told this one girl, I go, yeah, so tomorrow I got to try to find you. You got like a suit coat? Because we had no clue, you know. You got a suit coat? Because I have to go give testimony on the opiate epidemic at a joint Senate session, right?
Yeah.
And they started laughing at me, right? They were like, bitch, shut up. You're not going nowhere. Shut up, you know? So it was funny, right? And I went, and when I went and sat, and I tell these politicians till today, that was the fucking highlight of my life. For them to call me to the front, and because I watch a lot of Perry Mason and all these shows, right? So here's me. I sit down. I had like some, you know, between all the girls in the homeless shelter, right? Put together a cute little outfit, some slacks. I sit down, and I sit there, and I purposely the microphone was fine, but I wanted the whole effect. I purposely adjusted, hit the green light. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Angalia Bianca, and I went in to go like that. So that was like the fucking highlight of my fucking life. I'm not kidding you. Just to have that moment to like clear my throat after all importance, you know? And I even brought like a purse that almost could look like a briefcase. There was nothing in it, but I played that little role, and I fucking liked it that people were like actually asking for my opinion on this shit. So that really helped me to continue to strive to do better.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to now pass on to young single mothers, because we got to break this cycle, right? Because it's just like over and over and over, and we've got to break it, right? And
you know, because when me and my son, when my son was born, and you know, he said, you know, Daddy, you know, is grandma really my grandma? I said, yes, but she's not my real mother, you know. And I had explained to him the story of how my Puerto Rican mother met my Indian father and had me. She got pregnant at 15 in Puerto Rico. 16, she had me. She came to New York. He abandoned her and gave me up to the New York Foundling, the Catholic Charities. And I grew up through the foster care system. At 14, I lost my first foster parents. They both died. My father. And so I wound up going back through the system. And I didn't find my second set of foster parents till I was 17 years old. So I had almost 3.5 years dealing with the group homes and the system in the Bronx. You know, and I had a mentor who was a sister of mercy, a sister of charity. She was my mentor, like you. And she knew that, she knew that I used to go there all the time, every year for my checkups and everything. And she always used to call me in whatever group home I was in and said, are you playing music? I go, yeah. I really can't keep a guitar around here because there's crazies here and I got to fight my way out all the time.
And they would steal it.
Well, I'm not worried about you because I know you know how to do that. And I said, oh yeah, if somebody bothers me, I'll crack them in the head. But but she was my mentor, like you.
Yeah.
Because when as soon as I got released out of the homes, and then I found my other foster parents, I went and finished school, everything else, and she was always there for me to go, oh, there's a music program at St. John's you should go to.
Yeah, to kind of guide you and give you some
path. You're a minority. You're a Catholic boy. Are you going to get your first apartment soon? I said, yeah. When? She says, tomorrow. How about I found a place for you? $99 a month on 2nd Avenue and 89th Street.
Yeah. See, I always say sometimes we just need for one person to believe in us long enough until we can believe in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And you said Puerto Rico. Let me just tell you, because I've been there so many times and I've been around the world traveling and speaking. And I normally stay at Marriott's or Homes or whatever. So I'm on all those, the rewards and all the points. So I get emails. So the other day I get an email from Marriott. Angelia, Puerto Rico misses you, you know, and because I haven't, with COVID, who could travel, right? So nobody's booking me now, you know, nobody's booking me to come speak in their country, you know,
Yeah,
even
which
though
is
Puerto
hard.
Rico's America, but still. But I'm saying, like, yeah, I had got, as soon as COVID hit, I got 5 speaking gigs canceled. And then I probably more, but it was funny. So I'm sitting and my sister came in because we have a death in our family. And we're sitting on my couch, and I go, "Oh, Marriott was is telling me that Puerto Rico misses me, and when am I coming back?" And she goes, "Oh, shut up," you know. So yeah, I love Puerto Rico. I love.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I,
I
I
wanted to
spent
go.
time in Louisa. Louis.
Yeah,
How do you say it in southern Puerto Rico? Louisa.
yeah,
Louisa.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of the hood.
I wanted to go. I wanted to go and retire there. Unfortunately, it's impossible right now because the island is such in a bad shape.
Yeah,
I was just having a dissertation with a lot of people about it, and I'm trying to get the former governor right now to come on and do a show with me. And she's a Republican, really. How she
yeah. I saw
how
your
she
post. I liked it. Yeah, I
how she
mean,
got how she became governor of the island, I don't know, but she's did incredible things. But the island is so corrupt, and all the presidents.
yeah,
This is the only president that anybody thinks he's throwing towels. He wasn't throwing towels. He's given them so much money in the Army Corps and engineers and everything else. But everybody wants to make one guy the bad guy. It's not one guy
no,
the bad guy.
yeah. I don't believe.
It's too much. It's too much. But the
You just want
island,
the outcome to be okay, and that's why I stay in my own world, and I know I can make it down one kid one day at a time. That's all I can.
and that's what's important. And that's what's important. And about my home country, it takes one step at a time to clean the island up.
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful
and
though.
and you know it's got to be restored back to the plantations when the plantations were. We got to bring business back in there. It's got to be the tourist place that it used to be.
That it used to
That's all.
be. Yeah, I know.
That's all because the whole island works
Like
when
in
it's when,
one, yeah.
the whole island works when it's a tourist. But listen, we got to do this again because I have a lot more to go. I have somebody else to do
Okay.
in about another
Thank
hour.
you, and I'm
But
honored,
but
Chico. You're my hero.
it's fantastic. I'm so glad you're here with me. I really love this book. I love you. It's great.
I love you
I feel like
too.
I've known you forever, Ange.
Yeah,
And please, everybody, I'm going to post this up so everybody knows. In Deep by Angalia Bianca, who was my guest today. I hope technically everything this worked here because Zoom sometimes gets stupid. But let's hope
yeah.
it worked good today.
Let's hope it. You've got it on YouTube, so I'll share it on my page. So.
All right, doll. I love you.
All right, I love you, Chico. All right, I hope to see you soon whenever
Okay.
travel starts and I can come
As
to
they
California.
say, in Italian, alla campagna Maria.
All right, bye. Talk
Ciao.
to you later. All
Bye.
right, bye.